Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester, or at least the minister's home of First UU Church. It is an act of love that we are recording our services from home and bringing it to your home. There is something that, while it feels distant, it need not be in the same space. There is a connectedness that happens that we're sharing in this experience of staying home, as well as a sense of warmth of being in each other's homes during this time. So I welcome you to what was formerly the guest room in your minister's home, which is now the First UU's remote chapel, something that my wife assures me will be temporary. But in all seriousness, it is important to stay connected, and we're glad to stay connected in this way. For over 150 years, our church has been a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating sources of wisdom from many sources, many spiritual paths, many identities, all of which help us live lives of compassion, justice, and love. During the service online, there are many ways to engage with your church. You can light a chalice in your home and join the actions of our chalice lighting that we use with families and children each week. We hope to have a family each week record that. You can post comments throughout the service if you're watching on Facebook, names of loved ones that you're holding during the meditation, or hopes or blessings to others. And anytime during or after the service, you can donate to our offering at the giving link with this post, which is also on our website. And you can give to the general offering or designate funds if you want to donate to the Human Needs Fund, which is emergency financial assistance for members or friends. You can also submit your pledge if you haven't done so yet to commit to the future and vibrancy of this church. And beyond this service, you can stay connected in a variety of ways. We have an online coffee hour Sundays at 11:15. Follow the Zoom link for that, as well as a Wednesday night forum every Wednesday at 6:30. This coming Wednesday is with member and musician Jane Foote. You don't want to miss it, for an evening of reflections on songwriting, as well as hearing some of her songs from her new CD. So you can join us Wednesday night at 6:30. You can visit our website or check your e-news for all the updated links, program or building updates, and opportunities to offer or receive care or assistance in a variety of ways. So today we're grateful for those who have been trying out new technologies at home, some for the first time, to adapt in all the ways we're adapting. And we're grateful for Loudmouth Brass for allowing us to use their music from one of our previous services. You'll see more special music, favorites from past services, in the weeks to come. And mostly know that your church is holding you. It's holding all of us. There's a love holding you and this community. I invite you to rest in that love. Take a deep breath. It's good to be together.
As I sit here in my house and contemplate the coming weeks of physical distancing, it is so easy to focus on all the negative aspects of this demon, COVID-19. It has disrupted our lives in ways that we could not have imagined 4 weeks ago. Could we have imagined the simple act of buying groceries or going to the pharmacy would become an exercise in risk-benefit management? Could we have imagined that the simple act of gathering in friendship would become dangerous? How do we confront this dark cloud? How do we stave off loneliness? How do we comfort our friends and loved ones? Since railing against the wind will get us nowhere, I would suggest that we consider what is liberating about our current situation. For myself, I have talked and video chatted with my distant family and friends more than ever before. I have called my 95-year-old father more in the last 3 weeks than I have in the last year. My sisters and I have communicated more about our lives and keeping our father safe than I would have ever dreamed of. I have read more books, played more card games, video games, and backgammon. I have walked daily with Kathy around our neighborhood. I have even written letters and used my forever stamps that I bought 2 years ago. Now, despite the isolation, I have the chance to speak to you through the technology that is available, but I have never used. Most gratifying to me is the break in my routine, the time to take a breath and contemplate my existence and place in the world. Before this pause in our lives gifted by this unexpected and unasked for virus, I was caught up in the superficial and just getting through the day. Not that dealing with the daily needs doesn't have its own satisfaction. I plan to do some weeding and gardening of my soul. I had become too complacent. I long for liberation. I want my soul to soar. Let us virtually wrap ourselves in warm regard for each other. Keep up the effort to stay connected. Be mindful of those around us who may be in the physical and emotional need. Reach out to them. Just as important, work on your soul. It will pay you back 1,000-fold.
You can join us in lighting our chalice. This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the Church of the Flaming Chalice. This is the Church of the Open Mind. This is the Church of the Loving Heart, where friends come together and share.
I'd like you to invite your children to come and watch the story with you today. I know it's been kind of hard being apart, and so I wanted to take a minute to say hi. I really miss seeing all of the kids around the church, and if you can even believe it, I'm coming to you from my basement today. I mean, can things get any crazier? But I'm trying to act like I am at church. I have my little friend here with me, and I have my chalice lit right behind me. And today I'm going to read you a story about everybody kind of coming together and doing their part. It's about a little mouse named Frederick. All along the meadow, where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. Sorry for the sun on that. But the farmers had moved away, and the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far away, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They worked all day and night, all of them, except Frederick. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather sun rays for those cold winter days. And when they saw Frederick sitting there, staring at the meadow, they said, And now, Frederick, what are you doing? I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. And once, Frederick seemed half asleep. Are you dreaming, Frederick? They asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say. The winter days came and the snow began to fall. The 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats, and they were happy to be together. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. And it was in the cold wall It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays, and colors, and the words. What about your supplies, Frederick, they asked. Close your eyes, said Frederick, as he climbed on the big stone. And now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how their golden glow warms you? And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the 4 little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice, or was it magic? And how about all of the colors, Frederick? They asked anxiously. Close your eyes again, Frederick said. And when he told them of the blue periwinkles and red poppies and the yellow in the wheat, the green leaves in the berries bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if they'd been painted in their minds. And the words, Frederick, and the words. Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, Who scatters the snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky. 4 little field mice like you and I. One is the springtime mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat. And winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with 1 less or 1 more. When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. But Frederick, they said, you are a poet. Frederick blushed, took a bow, and said shyly, I know it. So sometimes when things are a little scary or we feel like we don't have enough of something, sometimes words and hugs and being together and remembering sunny days are things that really bring us together some more. So I hope you all have a great Sunday, and I hope that you're able to get out a lot this week and play in that sunshine in your backyard. See you all soon.
in different places, but we are still together. And we gather in a virtual way as we continue to create a place of communal caring and connection. We are enriched by the presence of each other and are drawn closer to the heart of love in this time of service and reflection. In this time together, we ask that our minds be open, our hearts welcoming, and our arms embracing. We honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We thank Linda Thompson, serving as our caring coordinator for the next 2 weeks, arranging care for our members and friends in need. Sandy and John McLaughlin will continue helping to arrange care for those needing services related to this very unique time when many of us have different needs related to COVID-19. Many of us may need additional care throughout this time, whether it be pastoral care, grocery delivery, or an errand run, and we encourage you to reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. We thank all of you who have offered to assist with grocery shopping, rides, phone calls, and card writing, and we send gratitude to you all for serving our congregation now and always. Our flowers today are shared by Kathy Hufftailing. With its 3 petals, the shamrock's symbolic meaning represents the balance of forces in a multitude of ways, representing faith, hope, and love, and that is what Kathy wishes for all of you. In this community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person here has value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those whose lives are touched by sadness, by illness, by worry, or by loneliness. We revel in those who are celebrating joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all. May all of us find comfort, hope, joy, and healing strength in this community. We hold Joyce Rundle in our hearts. Joyce was admitted to St. Mary's Hospital on Monday due to increased levels of fluids building up around her heart and lower body. Dick is hoping she will be able to come home this weekend, but is unsure. Joyce would be comforted by cards of support and well wishes as she misses her UU family dearly. Although Dick cannot visit her, he will look forward to giving the cards to her once she returns. We hold the Rundles tight in our thoughts as Joyce recovers. Please send strength to Jessica Garcia. Jessica's uncle passed away in Boston due to complications of COVID-19. Jessica is grateful to the patient advocates at Norwood Hospital who were able to set up FaceTime with him. The family was able to be with him in that way so that he was not completely alone. We hold her and her entire family in our hearts at this terrible time of loss. Now more than ever, we need to reach out to all in our community to let them know we are still here and still holding them. We encourage you all to send cards and make calls to those you love, opening the doors of communication and community. May the faith in the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Breathe deeply here, connected to this community of justice and hope, love and grace. Know that here you are named and you are known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing some slow breaths of silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. How much, how many seem to be the questions these days? How much longer will it be like this? How many people will get sick? How much do we really need to live? How much can we give to others? How many of whatever we have is enough for us to feel safe? How much can we stay connected? How many times do we need to take a break from all the efforts to replicate what can't be replicated? The in-person moments of beauty and laughter and embraces and love. How much love and patience and grace Can we offer ourselves and others so that we know and believe we are all beloved? We hold in our hearts this day all those who suffer in mind, in body, or spirit. I invite you aloud in your own home to name those you're holding in your own heart this day, in joy or in sorrow, celebration or grief or gratitude, and silently or aloud now to speak their names. For all those names, and for the names of all those who are serving our community in healthcare, in food work, in artistry, and so many more ways, building us up for the flourishing of humanity, we're grateful. These words of meditation come from the poet who has been helping many of us these days, Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Lynn Unger. A fun poem entitled Toilet Paper. She writes, "How many rolls of toilet paper will make you safe? How many bottles of Purell? How much peanut butter or pasta, bread or beer? How much money will make you secure? $10,000, $1 million, $1 billion, and a yacht? At what point do you say, I have what I need? Ask the Buddha. He says it is the nature of all things to change. It is the nature of all beings to suffer. It is the nature of all beings to die. How many rolls will make you safe? Wouldn't it be better if you yourself were multi-layered and soft and strong? May it be so, and amen."
The reading is This is the Part by Reverend Elizabeth Nguyen. This is the part where we commandeer cruise ships for people migrating to feast at all-you-can-eat buffet and party poolside, and then split the corporate profits with the staff, right? This is the part where we teach ourselves how to make our own medicine, the kind from herbs and grandma's recipes, and vaccines and antivirals and insulin and EpiPens too, right? This is the part where we open our spare rooms to the college student whose school is closed, and the asylum seeker who just got out of detention, and our coworker who just got evicted, and the queer teen who needs a place to crash, right? This is the part where we feed lunch to the kid whose school is canceled, and text the people who can't be in public spaces anymore, and we breathe, right? This is the part where we introduce ourselves to our neighbors we've been living next to for 10 years, because tomorrow we might need each other, right? This is the part where we ask, what do I really need for surviving? And find a way to seek no more and no less, right? This is the part where we stay home, we cancel, we show up, we call, we fight, we let go, we stay, we don't let anyone go it alone, right? This is the part when we say we mean we elderly, we immunocompromised, we sick, we well, we in prison, we free, we who can buffer our way out with money and privilege, and we who definitely can't, right? Right.
One of my favorite places in Rochester is along the South Zumbro River Trail, down the hill past the little dam by the large stones near the community garden. Maybe you've been there. From there you can see the woods and the river and the paths. You can see off in the distance Chuck E. Cheese and Trader Joe's, and another direction some golden arches. You can also see the plumber building and the clinic downtown, as well as the sky and the geese and plants and stars. I've been going there often these days, during the morning with my family most mornings, and later in the evening with just our dog, Lucy. A couple nights ago, well after sunset, with illumination coming only from the city and a bit of half of the moon, Lucy, our English setter, perked up and looked off the edge of our path toward the slope going down to the river. My eyes, much slower to adjust, looked over and eventually made out there were 6 deer in a row, which I often find in the evening there, grazing along the water. They were staring at us, stopped in their tracks, completely at attention, looking at us until they knew somehow they had to wait until it was safe again to move. Feels a little bit like that's what's happening right now. We're stopped in our tracks, the world gone still, life as we know it no more the same, much as Mark described in the call to worship today. And I wonder perhaps if some of that is good, the earth itself taking a breath and a break, we ourselves taking a breath and a break to clear the air, to clear the waters, to clear our hearts. At least for those of us who aren't on the front lines, and hopefully even more so for those who are. Maybe that's you on the front lines in healthcare or grocery work or whatever it happens to be right now. You need breath as much and more than any of us to find your strength and keep on. And it makes me think that if we're doing it right, this humanity thing, we stop. We don't move, just like those deer. We take heed of the danger, some of which is quite unknown to us, and we just watch, we pay attention to what that is. We don't start running out of fear or fighting. We just stop in our tracks, pause, and wait until the danger has passed and it is safe to continue on. The deer don't really seem to hoard things either. They seem to heed the question from the Reverend Elizabeth Nguyen, as Mark read to us in her poem. She writes, "This is the part where we ask, what do I really need for surviving? And find a way to seek no more and seek no less, right? No more and no less than we need. Learning to live in new ways, adapt daily, unsure of what will be next. It's funny the differences among us of what feels essential to stock up on. Toilet paper, which is now the immortal reference. But beyond that, think about, what do you feel, what have you felt that you have needed to stake your life on, to make sure you've got in the pantry, in the fridge, in the basement, wherever, maybe in your heart. What do you need to live? How much of this? How many of that? What are you being asked to refrain from, at least for now, so that others who really need it can find it? We are writing a history right now that has been unprecedented in our lifetimes. I'm assuming some things about your age, but I'm pretty sure. This is pretty new in a lot of ways. We are writing a story about humanity that will be read for generations and centuries to come, by our action, by our inaction of what we are or are not doing. Some of you may remember that we, in our Universalist heritage at least, are in the time of Lent in the Christian church year. This paints such a different picture now. One Lutheran friend of mine said, "Well, this is the lentiest Lent I've ever lented." A little church nerd humor for you there. Lent is the season leading up to Easter, if you're not familiar. At its core has been practices of sacrifice to help put in perspective the core things of what matters most in your life, to get rid of things that are less important, to give up something, frivolous, small things. If you practice anything with Lent or not, right now we are sacrificing things far beyond the stereotypical chocolate or types of food or drink that are often given up for Lent. And I might recommend right now not giving up chocolate. But I think we're being asked, being forced a little, into a practice of giving up things that really drill down and define what is essential. What do I need to survive? What do I not need? What am I giving up? How am I helping my neighbor? This is the part, writes the poet, where we stay home, where we cancel and where we show up, where we call, we fight, we let go, we stay. We don't let anyone go it alone, right? This is the part, she says, when we say we, and we mean we elderly, we immunocompromised, we sick, we well, we in prison, we free, we who can buffer our way out with money, with privilege, and we who definitely can't. So we're here. And this is going to be the longest Lent that we've ever known, I think. But this is what's true. For some, feelings of isolation and uncertainty, feelings of strain in life, of trying to figure out what seems impossible. For many on the margins, these feelings aren't all that new, even if the world is different. Perhaps what we're experiencing, while unprecedented, is a spotlight on the ways our society, our systems, fail vulnerable populations all the time. Perhaps when the strain is felt by even the most privileged among us, that is an invitation to compassion, to remember the gifts that we do have, and call us to new ways of thinking and acting and being in love for our neighbor, caring for one another. That some of the most basic things we know aren't frivolous, like a living wage and paid leave and steady work. They're a matter of life and death. They are core. As I moved along that Zumbro path, I found myself held there, amidst the wisdom of the deer along the river and the magic of the shining ancient stars overhead. The love and the skill and the compassion I could see represented across the horizon there by the blue and white lights that were illuminating the top of the Plummer building, the very spot where the first Universalist chapel, our church, first stood over 150 years ago on the site of the Plummer building. I felt there, looking at all these things, I felt held by ancient wisdom and love showing up right now, and I felt a truth that they, whoever they were in our church, in this community, these ancient stars and the light that they've held for centuries, millennia, they've persevered through who knows what, and I think we will too. Who knows how? So may we, this season, give up hoarding. May we learn to live with what only we need. May we give up believing in our invincibility, and may we give up any belief, any illusion that we aren't connected in deep ways. May we give up any belief, any action, any cynicism that doesn't take this moment, this time in our lives as a chance to grow our souls, grow our compassion wider and wider still beyond just our own needs, until we turn to each other in mutual aid, until we say we and know who we mean. We offer the gifts that we have, work and art and laughter and love. And know when we say we mean everyone, including you, including your neighbor, including us all. Amen.